Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we are back with more for Spooktober. This particular episode, we are talking about some of the creatures from Native American folklore. There's a lot of creatures and cryptids throughout history, but I think sometimes it kind of gets skipped over how much we have taken from Native American folklore. Let's see. Let's start over here on this one. Top 10 Native American mythical creatures from Thunderbirds to Skinwalkers. At the start, they put the Thunderbirds. Yeah. In the native cultures of the Pacific Northwest and the Great Plains, the Thunderbird was a mythical creature that embodied strength and power. The Thunderbird is a very large and powerful bird. It is said to be so large, in fact, that it could pluck an orca whale from the sea with as much ease as an eagle catching salmon in its talons. As the name implies, thunderbirds were associated with storms. Their massive wings made the sound of thunder when they flapped. And according to some stories, the thunderbird even shot lightning from its eyes. For peoples of the Great Plains, the thunderbird was a harbinger of rain, which could be a welcome sight or a destructive force, depending on the conditions. So, yeah. Very big historical part. Often there have been tales that people still see sightings of thunderbirds and so on, but it's an interesting part of folklore that something like the thunderbirds uh, was seen as so important to the Arapaho. Thunderbird is a summer bird who challenges White Owl Woman, the winter bird, to see whose powers are greater. Thunderbird stirs up great black clouds with tremendous noise and wind. White Owl Woman stirs up thick, fast moving white clouds that blow a piercing wind. So, yeah. Um, but yeah, Thunderbird represented nature and as well as the violence of storms, but for the most part, not a fearsome or malevolent creature. So yeah, even topped on some totem poles for the tribes of the Pacific Northwest. And while the Thunderbird falls squarely in the realm of mythology, there have been interesting sightings and encounters even to the present day. That's what I'm saying. Some people claim they have seen them, of enormous birds in North America. So, yeah. Next one they have listed, skinwalkers. Yeah, these have mainly become so associated with Skinwalker Ranch due to the name and everything. The Navajo, uh, properly known as the Dine, have myths and stories about a terrifying creature known as Skinwalker, shapeshifters known as Yanaldushi. The Skinwalker is a mythical entity that has the ability to transform itself into any animal or human that it wants. Many of the legends claim that the Skinwalker can only shapeshift if it wears the pelt or hide of the creature it is copying. But there are other stories that claim skinwalkers can use hair or fingernail clippings from humans and shapeshift into them. The stories surrounding the Yanaldushi are pretty gnarly. They're always up to evil shenanigans and breaking Navajo taboos in their nefarious rituals that pervert every convention of Navajo tradition, including performing such unthinkable acts as creating sand paintings only to spit, urinate, and defecate on them, according to the Dictionary of Native American Mythology. They practice cannibalism, sitting in circles, and eating piles or basketfuls of human flesh. Yeah, the Skinwalker was seen as very much a despicable being. Yeah. Since the Navajo people believe the skinwalkers require animal hides to make their transformation, it is considered taboo to keep the pelts of wolves, bears, or cougars in their culture. This prohibits skinwalkers from stealing hides and shapeshifting into the ferocious animals. The only hides that the Navajo people use are the hides of sheep and deer. It is not so scary to have the skinwalker transform into a sheep as it is to become a bear in their culture. So yeah. The whole point of Skinwalker Ranch getting its name is because the land was cursed after a long battle or war between the two tribes, and the tribe that was beaten cursed the land. And so, now it's supposed to be inhabited, among other things, by skinwalkers. And so, supposedly, that's where it gets its name. Supposedly. Yeah, it's between the Ute and Navajos. So. Next, at number 3, they have the Wendigo and the Wachuge. Yeah. In northern Algonquin traditions, the Wendigo was a spirit of winter, which could transform a man, woman, or child into a cannibalistic being with a heart of ice. In time, this being would grow into a giant. The Wendigo or Wendigo, um, or Wetiko, and other names, are a mythical creature of several Algonquin tribes, and the Wachuge, a similar legend of the Athabascan tribes of northwest Canada. They were both magical creatures with a taste for human flesh. The Wendigo may best be compared to today's modern zombies. They are described as being ghastly or ghostly gaunt, with sunken gray skin, hollow eyes, and a shuffling gait. They reek of death and resemble walking corpses, while the Wachuge differ slightly from the Wendigo in that, according to Athabascan stories, the creature was formed from glacial ice and brought to life. Its heart is frozen and thus unfeeling. The Wendigo, on the other hand, was once a human and became a beast through cannibalism. Yeah. Um, the most famous case of proclaiming someone being a Wendigo was Swift Runner, who during a winter he was talking about struggling to survive. And that the thing is, he didn't even seem to realize what he had done, because of what happened. He'd end up slaughtering and eating his wife and children. He says he doesn't, he would say he didn't remember a single bit of it. But yeah. Because supposedly it was a really bad winter, but somehow he'd made it through. It's because he ended up committing the act of cannibalism. So yeah. But next one, Indamkenowe. Native American cultures, like communities around the world, include tales of half human, half fish beasts that inhabit waterways. The Indamkenowe is the Algonquin version of the mermaid myth. Or rather, it is a mer woman. All the myths and legends of this mythical creature describe it as a male who likes pretty young women. The Indamkenowe, as the stories go, lurks in lakes, rivers, and streams and accosts young women and girls when they remove their clothing to bathe. Sometimes it doesn't even bother the women. It merely watches as the woman swims nude and washes herself. In other legends, the creature takes its voyeurism a step too far by swimming unseen beneath the surface to molest an unsuspecting bather. The merman does not try to kill the woman, but he certainly lived up to his reputation as the perverted merman. So, yeah. Next, we shall look at Etahasaya. Again, I'm probably butchering that. The Indom Kinoe was unique in North American mythology. Other mythical creatures stalked young women too, according to Native American stories. One of the more fearsome creatures was the Etasaya, a cannibal demon, described by the Zuni people of the Southwest as a huge and demon-like, much larger than a normal human. The Etahasaya, covered in thick, knobby skin and long gray hair. It is muscular and scaly, with bulging red eyes. Numerous tales in the Zuni oral tradition describe the Etahasaya abducting and cannibalizing young women. As menacing as it was, however, most of the tales about this cannibalistic demon end in the creature's defeat. So, yeah. The Tenehan and the Nemeregar. Yeah, we're getting to some words that I'm more than likely butchering horribly. Several Native American tribes include stories of races of little people. One being the Tehilan, the Nimeragar, and Pukwudgies. According to legends, these weren't cute, jolly Disney-esque dwarves. Instead, they were strong, fierce, and brutally warlike. In some myths, the little people were magical force gnomes, while in others, they were a fearsome foe. Taking its name from the Arapaho word for strong, the Tehilihan were said to have made their homes on the plains of Wyoming and Colorado, where they could prey upon Native American people also living there. In many stories, the Nemeragar were an evil group who lived in the Wind River and in the Wyoming mountains, writes Cynthia O'Brien in Fairy Myths. The Shoshone avoided the Nemeragar whenever possible. Ooh, excuse me. So, yeah. You mentioned the Pukwudgies, but do you say anything about them? It doesn't seem they do. Okay. Number 7, they have Ogopogo and the Flathead Lake Monster. Ogopogo is supposed to be a sea serpent-like monster similar to the Loch Ness Monster in Lake Okanagan in Canada. So, yeah, Loch Ness Monster gets all the attention, but according to Native American myths and folklore, There are strange, unidentified sea serpents living in some of the Finger Lake or larger lakes of North America, like Ogopogo in British Columbia, and the Flathead Lake Monster in Montana. So yeah. Number 8, the Piasa bird. Piasa bird is a mythical creature that allegedly lived in the steep cliffs along the Mississippi River. According to Native American myths, the Piasa was quite different from the Thunderbird. It was depicted as a flying dragon in ancient paintings dating back as far as 1200 CE, also known as 1200 AD. In 1673, Father Jacques Marquette wrote about the Piasa bird in his journal he kept while traveling through the area. In it, he claimed the creature was as big as cattle, the blood red eyes and antlers on its head. The body was covered in scales, yet it had a human like face and also had a long, thin, snake like tail. So, yeah. Number 9, Katsuhitashku. The Penobscot Indians of the East Coast told stories of a giant, menacing mythical creature called Katsuhit Hitu Ashku. Again, I'm butchering this. Or stiff-legged bear. According to folklore, the monster was huge and roughly bear-shaped, but with a much larger head and neck, unyielding legs. The legends surrounding it claim it stalked, killed, and devoured humans. Anthropologists searching legends of the Penobscot people noted the depictions of it looked similar to the African elephants, which the Native Americans should have never seen. That led to the theory that Native Americans discovered skeletal remains of prehistoric mastodon. Not knowing what the remains were, the Penobscot people developed myths surrounding the creature and its origins. And a man-eating bear the size of an elephant sounds cool. Yeah, we've got the picture of a mastodon skeleton here, looking at it from sort of in the front underneath. Possibility could be it was a short-faced bear, maybe. 10, Bakwas. Like the Sasquatch, the Bakwas, it gives various pronunciations here, was a hairy old man hairy wild man that lived in the forest. But unlike Sasquatch, the Bakwas were a ghostly creature that passed back and forth between the human world and the ghostly world. He is the wild man of the woods, the keeper of drowned souls, and children are taught to be wary of him. These souls, or those souls captured by Bakwas, are condemned to eternal hunger, misery, wandering, and evil doing. Bakwas. But we also have another site here: 7 scariest creatures from Native American folklore. Yeah, they start off with the Wendigo. The horn thing started because of, I can't remember if they said it was a movie or a book or what, but original stories don't have the antlers, the horns, or whatever. Do I hit next? Or there we go. Skinwalker. The Inuit sea monster, the Kalupalik. Mythical creature of the Inuit who inhabited the freezing tundra of Alaska, Canada, and Greenland. They're typically described as half-human sea monsters with elongated fingernails and green slimy skin. It would have a habit of luring unsuspecting Inuit children into its icy lair underneath the water. So, yeah. The Cherokee's horned serpent, the Uktana. Many cultures worldwide tell tales of giant serpents or dragon-like creatures secretly lurking deep in the wild. Various serpent beasts can be found in Native American folklore. Among them is the myth of the Uktana. The legend of the Uktana originated among the Cherokee Nation. Excuse me. It is essentially a dragon-like horned serpent with wings. But some depictions are far more unnerving. The 19th century anthropologist James Mooney observed the Cherokee tribe in western North Carolina and described the Uktana in his 1992 book History, Myths and Formulas of the Cherokee, writing, I've got a book by Mooney where he'd spent time living with them, and it tells a lot about their languages and um, folklore and stuff like that. But yeah, let's see what else we have. The giant owl witches of Native American lore called the Tata Klea. Owls hold significant meaning in Native American cultures. Many tribes have their own myths related to these mysterious nocturnal birds. The Nakama, who live at the border between what is now Washington and Oregon states, say that the Tata Klea were giant owl witches who once roamed the plains at night looking for people to devour. They most enjoyed feasting on children and would mimic the languages of the tribes to lure victims. Hmm. Interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of these I don't even know about. Certainly I know I've screwed up a lot of the pronunciations, but the flying head monster of the Iroquois, the Canoncistonties. There's a similar Oni legend in Japan. But yeah. Excuse me for the yawning and stuff. Ooh. And the Native American ghost witch monster, the Skadegum Muck. So yeah, these are the ones they have listed on the two sites. And like I said, there's other legends as well. Bigfoot, Sasquatch. There's been legends of it for quite a while, even though it's also seen all over the world in different forms. But it's well known. Um, there's other creatures out there like like I said, with the Cherokee, Spearfinger, who is supposed to be a stone-like witch that has one really long finger, poke into a human being, pull out their liver and eat it. And that was kind of her thing. Her skin was very hard, almost like stone. Because they talk about encounters where the arrows would just bounce off of her. Um, there's also the legend of the Moon-Eyed people, who are supposed to be like people that lived in caves and only came out at night. They would end up the Cherokee would end up having a conflict with them and drive them off. Um, what else? But yeah, like I said, there are so many legends that are Native American lore. And these are just covering the same, several of the same ones. But there's legends of lake serpents. Uh, Almost every tribe had a legend about Bigfoot. Um, let's see. And like I said, there's a number of these legends that spread across several tribes. But yeah. Also, another quick note: when you call these tribes by certain names, it's not always the name they used for themselves. There was a bad tendency for many explorers to ask a tribe who's next around here, and they would end up being told the name of the tribe, but it's the name that particular tribe they had just visited called them, not what the tribe themselves called them. Cherokee wasn't what the Cherokee called themselves. It's, I think, was the the Salagi, something like that. But yeah, um, it's just an interesting note that most of the tribes that the names we know them by isn't necessarily what they called themselves. But anyway, back to the case at hand. Native American folklore and mythology was always something interesting because there were some interesting tales. But we'll go ahead and end this here. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these links in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.